Hey everyone, and welcome to this explainer. I am absolutely thrilled you're here today because we're going to uncover a really fascinating psychological trap. And honestly, it's a trap that might literally be stopping you from achieving your greatest goals. We spend so much time planning our futures, mapping out our big ambitions, and, hyping ourselves up. But what if the very act of talking about your ambitions is exactly the thing that's destroying them? So I want you to really think about this for a second. Have you ever told everyone about something big you wanted to do? Maybe it was starting a business, writing a book, or finally getting in shape. You tell your friends, you post about it online, you get all this amazing encouragement. But then, did you notice what happened next? The motivation just mysteriously vanished. It's like your drive completely evaporated into thin air, making that dream so much harder to reach. Okay, let's dive into this. Section 1, the trap of early praise. To really wrap our heads around why this happens, let's consider a young guy named Simon. Simon was full of ambition. He wanted to open a shop, master pottery, build a house, the whole shebang. But before he ever actually began working, he would walk right into the middle of the village market and loudly announce his plans to everyone. He would literally shout, "I will open the biggest shop in this village." And the people, they clapped, they smiled, they showered him with all these kind words and praise. Simon felt so important and proud. But here's the harsh reality. The very next morning, when it was actually time to roll up his sleeves and do the work, he felt totally exhausted. The energy was just gone. He never opened the shop, he never touched the clay, his hands stayed completely empty. Basically, Simon fell into this incredibly toxic, repetitive cycle. Let's break it down. Step 1, he announces the dream. Step 2, he gets the praise. Step 3, he feels really proud. And then step 4, he loses the energy to actually execute. And the crazy thing is, this wasn't just a one-time fluke for Simon. This exact pattern continued for years. People constantly celebrated his words, but his life never actually changed. Eventually, all that applause just faded into shame. He felt stuck, heavy-hearted, and found himself sitting alone by the old village well, just unable to understand why he always failed. Which brings us to section 2, the tale of two seeds. This is the elder's lesson. So as Simon is sitting there feeling totally defeated, this quiet, humble, and highly respected village elder approaches him and invites him to his garden. The very next day, the elder greets Simon holding 2 small seeds. He instructs Simon to bury the first seed quietly in the dark soil, but for the second seed, the elder does something totally different. Instead of planting it, he holds it high up in the air. He calls over some children playing nearby and loudly brags, "Look everyone, I have a seed! Soon it will become a beautiful tree, watch how wonderful it will be." The kids clapped and smiled. Then the elder just placed that exposed seed on a rock and left it right there. Now, fast forward. Weeks pass by. The elder quietly watered that buried seed every single day without saying a single word about it. Slowly, a strong, tiny green shoot pushed through the soil. But what about that second seed on the rock? Well, it stayed exactly the same. It dried up in the harsh sun, birds came and picked pieces off of it, and eventually it just completely vanished. Standing right there beside that strong little plant, the elder turned to Simon and delivered this incredibly profound piece of wisdom. He said, "A seed needs silence to grow. It needs darkness. It needs to stay hidden under the earth. If you leave it in the open and talk about it, it dries up, it gets stolen, it never becomes a tree." Just let the weight of that sink in for a moment. Let's unpack that in section 3, why speaking kills motivation. Let's look at the science. Now, what's really interesting about this slide is how we can apply this ancient wisdom to modern psychology. Why exactly does exposing a dream cause it to dry up? Well, it all comes down to a psychological chain reaction in our brains. When you share your dream way too early and receive that immediate praise, your brain actually gets tricked. The praise releases feel-good chemicals that give you this sense of fake achievement. Your mind literally thinks the goal has already been accomplished. And because you've already received the reward, your heart loses the fire to keep going. That vital energy you desperately needed for the actual action gets completely wasted in words. As the elder explained this, Simon's face grew incredibly warm. It hit him like a ton of bricks. He had this massive realization. Every single time he announced a plan, he felt successful without doing a single drop of work. The applause was enough. He was using that rush of empty pride to replace the difficult, gritty work of actually building his dreams. He never needed to finish because all that clapping made him feel like he already had.
The elder left Simon with a final, really powerful warning. Dreams are incredibly fragile at the beginning. They need protection. You have to keep them quiet. You have to let them grow in the dark soil of your own private effort. It's only when the tree is strong enough to stand on its own that you should let everyone see it.
Moving right along to section 4, the power of quiet action, a totally new approach. So Simon walks home that night with his mind just racing, and he makes a firm decision to try a radically new approach. He decides he's going to build a wooden chair. But first and foremost, he tells absolutely no one. Every single evening, he just goes to a quiet corner and works with the wood. Because nobody knew about it, nobody was poking their head in asking, hey, how's that chair coming along? There were no outside expectations, which meant there was zero outside pressure. He executed his entire plan in total silence. He made mistakes, sure, but he fixed them slowly, relying entirely on his own 2 hands. Days turned into weeks, and finally, the chair was finished. It was strong, it was smooth. Simon sat on it and experienced a feeling he had literally never encountered before. It was a deep, quiet, and real pride. This wasn't that cheap, fleeting rush of dopamine he used to get from shouting in the market. No, this was the unshakable pride that only comes from actually doing, not from talking. I absolutely love this next part. One morning, a neighbor just happens to walk by and spots this beautiful chair sitting outside Simon's house. The neighbor is completely amazed and asks, "When did you make this? You never told anyone?" Simon just offered a calm, quiet smile and replied with 6 incredibly powerful words. "I wanted to finish it first." And this brilliantly illustrates how quiet progression just completely compounds over time. It started with the chair, but because he actually had the energy to finish it, he moved on to a table, again in total silence. Then came a shelf, then a stool. Years later, Simon wasn't that guy shouting in the market anymore. He was widely known as a master craftsman. He no longer needed that empty praise before starting because his actions were finally speaking way louder than his words. Which leads us to section 5, let your work speak. Going from a dreamer to a builder. So let's bring this explainer right back to you in your own life. Simon's journey from a loud dreamer to a quiet builder is the exact shift we all need to make. Keep your dreams close. When you speak about your plans too early, you're literally giving away your power to other people's reactions. You absolutely have to value your own quiet effort over the immediate gratification of a like, a comment, or a round of applause. Remember this rule: the world does not need to know what you are building. It only needs to see what you have already built. I want to leave you with this final, really provocative thought to carry with you today. Honestly, how many times have you announced a massive goal only to watch your energy completely fade away? More importantly, moving forward, what is the next big idea, the next fragile seed that you are going to fiercely protect and keep in the dark today? Pause, stay quiet, and let your work grow. Thank you so much for joining me in this explainer, and I challenge you to go out there and build something amazing, for sure, but do it in total silence.